Well, I'm excited for this. This is my favorite class every month, and it is one of the, I think, separating factors for Keller Williams is we're such a wealth-oriented or a financial freedom-focused organization. And I know personally, I was already on my kind of wealth building journey before joining KW, but I can tell you it's been accelerated by the community, the network, the ideas that have come out of this kind of format. And so every month we rotate through different awesome investors in our network and in the brokerage. And today we get to hear from Joel. And Joel is one of the partners, one of the owners of KW Excellence, our Mapleton office. And he's had an awesome backstory. So I think a few of you might know him and a lot of you don't. So I'm going to have him kind of do a quick introduction of his backstory, and then we'll dive into the content for today. Joel.
All right.
It's right here at the top.
All right.
Fresh batteries.
All right. Does that work? Yep. All right. Just a little bit about my background. I've been in real estate about 18 years now. So long enough to know this market is painful, right? There's some stresses that we can all feel. So I started my wealth journey really in like 2016. I got to a point where I was like, you know what? Love real estate, love sales, but sometimes there's stress, financially when it comes to uneven cash flows, things like that. So I started a development company with my business partner as, another source of income. And we've done a ton of development since then. We've probably done 600 units of multifamily. We've done industrial, single family lot development. So I've got kind of an eclectic background in real estate, construction, sales, all of that. So as I started doing that, I started focusing more on passive income. I was selling for a builder at the time. We were probably selling 25-ish homes a year for a builder, and then existing real estate. So we're doing well, but I've been doing it long enough that my kids were getting to an age where I'm like, they're noticing when I'm constantly on the phone, constantly working. So I need to have other sources of income potentially that would allow me to have a little more flexibility other than just being physically present selling. So I made some pretty lofty goals as far as, getting passive income and setting a plan in place to do that. And like Shoni was saying, one of those business ventures was to, start a real estate brokerage. And so I can kind of talk to you a little bit about that and partnering with an awesome brand still here at KW, and love the KW brand. So one thing I wanted to do to start out is just I want to have some open dialogue and just be honest. I will raise my hand along with you. How many of you get stressed out when there's not a commission check, on the horizon that month? All right. So that is the nature of a commission-based business. It's stressful. There's uneven cash flows, market-driven stresses. It's just a very inconsistent business that we're in. And so, obviously need to be financially sound with savings, but then also I wanted to talk to you guys more about the concept of, making money related to real estate, but also outside of real estate through passive income and other business ventures that, essentially come along. So the main objective by the end of this lesson, I want you to understand the importance of diversifying income beyond sales commission, and then identifying at least 5 passive or alternative income streams available to real estate professionals, and then to develop an action plan to begin building a new stream of income within 90 days. So that's my goal with this. I know you're going to be like, that's crazy. There's no way I can do that, but put together a pretty extensive list of different business options. So I don't love PowerPoint. It's not always going to track, on my conversation. So, all right. So if it gets off topic, I apologize. Sorry, not sorry. I want this to be an open discussion because I think that's the way that we learn best is I have a real estate coach even after 18 years. She's more of a business coach, life coach kind of at this point. And what I found is as I talk through things, sometimes I'm like, you know what, I really need to double down on those efforts. And other times I'm like, that is stupid. Saying it out loud and verbalizing it, I'm like, pass. I just need to move on from that idea. So that's why I want to talk through things so that we can kind of brainstorm ideas that will help all of us. So one thing that I really want to help you guys understand is wealthy people don't rely on a single source of income. And I've tried to help. I got my brother into real estate about 7 years ago. And that's a concept I've really tried to pound in his head because it puts stress on me where I pulled him from a different line of employment into real estate with me. I don't want him to rely on me being the single source of income, right? So I've tried to help him real estate sales, helped start a construction company, helped him, understand investing. And so even as a fairly young person being in the business 7 years, he's got 3 sources of income at this point. So yesterday I sat down, I'm like, what are my sources of income? How many different sources of income do I have currently? And I'll just be an open book because I think as we talk through things, it helps you kind of understand like how have I personally found success and how can you apply those success principles into your business? And I'm not saying what I'm doing is the right fit for you. I'm just saying my background being in construction and real estate and development, these are what I've done to kind of tie things together to feed off of my real estate sales business to increase upon just the commission base. So here's the ways that I am making money currently. So I have real estate sales, one. With my real estate sales, when they got robust, I got approached by a title company that was rebranding and offered the ability to buy into a title company that's very reputable. So I have ownership in the title company. So all of my closings that I generate from real estate sales get referred to my title company. So I'm making money on the sale of the commission. I'm making money on the back end of the title policy. I don't get paid on a per transaction. That's not legal. But the benefit is that I make money on every single other owner in that business. And there's very large other owners, Arrive Homes, Visionary, Homes, all of those people, I get paid when they do a closing. So look for ways to align yourself in a business that you can make money outside of just your production. The other passive income stream, like Shoni mentioned, is a real estate brokerage. That's a newer business, so it's not something that I'm generating lots of cash flow from currently, but will eventually be another spinoff. So you look at, I sell real estate, I pay into a cap. Part of that cap goes into a business I own. So I make money from my real estate sales, and then it comes back to me through ownership in that business. The title company that we own, we bought the real estate, developed it, and we have commercial tenants. So we lease space to the brokerage that we own. We lease space to residential tenants. We lease space to the title company that we own. And we've had a lender in there as well. So all generated off of my real estate business. Development company, one thing I noticed was, for me, I hated getting hired and fired. It's just my personality. Somebody told me, oh, how do you deal with getting fired essentially every 30 days? When a transaction's done, you're done with that client, you're getting fired, and you're probably not getting rehired for a bit from them. If you've done a good job, you'll get rehired in the future. But it's very much a cyclical type of business. So to control the uneven cash flows, we started a development company. Why do you think I would want to own a development company? I can create my own inventory. So I was like, you know what? If I'm not getting hired to sell the amount of listings that I want, I'm going to go be my own client. I'm going to go create the inventory I can leverage. I hired my brother to be a model home agent, so he can make money off of my business, and then I can make money off of his efforts from the profit of the development and also the real estate sales. So we are closing, 50, 60 transactions a year just off of our development company. So again, it funneled off of the real estate sales business. The other source of income that I don't know if you guys run into this, but a lot of times when I sell a house, we're in Utah, there's unfinished basements everywhere. And so when I was selling homes, I'd get several calls a year. Hey, we're looking to finish our basement, and who would you recommend to finish our basement? So I would just say, hey, this is a guy that I know. He's a general contractor. Call him. He could finish your basement. So after doing that, for 10 years of shuttling business to someone else and not making money from it, I was like, you know what? I know there's a need for it because I get phone calls. I'm sure you guys get phone calls. I'm just going to go start a basement finishing business. So I have my contractor license. It's a niche for me because I graduated in construction management. So it's something that I could apply into my business, not something that works for everybody, but just to show you, again, you can add from your real estate business. You have the network already. Now you just need to plug into it. So have a basement finishing business. How many of you guys know anything about the KW profit share model? There's a few of you. Did you know that if you recruit people to Keller Williams that you can get profit share if they put you down as their sponsor? All right, so every year I make a couple $1,000s off of profit share. It's not something that is a massive amount of money, but when you start adding in the 9 different sources of income that I have, it amounts to a very large amount of money. So profit share is one way that you can make money. I'm already going to be out recruiting for my real estate brokerage, and now I can add them into my profit share tree. So profit share is a way that you can, as a real estate agent, recruit. It's mutually beneficial. The office will love you. And something that's started to happen now is those people that I've recruited are also recruiting. So I've noticed that my profit share is growing because now I have people in my downline from profit share that I recruited a few years ago. Getting into development, there's ebbs and flows of the market. We hit kind of a funky market in one of our developments, and we had some cash on hand. So we're like, hey, what can we do to incentivize buyers? So we started doing some seller financing. So another source of income for me is I have seller finance notes that I have loaned people money on my own development. So I know it's built well. If I had to take it back, worst case scenario, I know who built it. I know it's a good product, and I make 6% on my money, which is great. And it's interest only. I get an interest check every month from those people that bought those units from me. Another source of income would be rental income. So
yeah, I was just gonna ask about this financing. So do you structure it with like a balloon payment type?
yeah, I have a 5-year balloon payment. I don't want to indefinitely make 6% on my money, but like for this market and given the situation, I will gladly take that.
That's super smart. And you structure it in interest only?
Interest only payment. It was beneficial for, so what I was wanting to try and accomplish was I want the payment down as low as possible. How am I going to do that?
Yeah.
They're not going to pay towards principal. I was able to get rid of went to UCCU and said, hey, we have an idea. we want to create a loan product with you. So we went and met with the mortgage president for UCCU and said, our idea is you guys come in 70% first. We'll come in with a 25% second. So the buyer comes in with 5% like a traditional loan product. But the benefit is no MI. So we got rid of the MI, right?
Yeah.
So right there, it lowers their payment. Second position note. So the lender's like, great, I'm only lending at 30%, 70% loan to value. There's really no risk. So they were good to do that. We came in a second position, loaned the buyer 25% with a 5-year balloon. And we've already started actually getting those paid off. So I'm like, yeah, you keep the money for 5 years. I don't care. I'm just getting money on it. But it allowed me to keep my pricing where I wanted it, allow me to make some money on my money. So
Yeah, no, that is a super creative way, especially in this market right now for people that are wanting to buy homes. So UCCU is covering a lot of like your costs for building, actually developing when they come in at 70%, and then your portion is just like your profit.
yeah,
You're waiting to get that
subordinating
5 years down the line. type thing.
subordinating our profit, rolling it into the long term, and we're just making money while we're sitting.
Yeah, no, that's super smart. I was gonna initially ask like, wow, you must be like almost no leverage on the construction of it if you're able to float that for 5 years, but you're not. You're coming in with partnering with the bank to
Yeah, so
cover
the
that
bank's
cost.
coming in with the first mortgage to take out any construction debt, and then the second mortgage is essentially just profit that we left in the job.
Wow, that's cool.
And then the other thing is just traditional rental income. I've been able to, through development, again, we've developed and kept and held a lot of properties. So I have 41 rentals at this point. So those are the sources of income that I looked at, and I was like, you know what? All of it stems back to real estate sales. Other than the interest income that I make off of just investing cash, but that cash is generated off of real estate sales. So what I want you guys to look at today is just say, listen, I have a thriving sales business. What are other ways that I could leverage my sales business into making additional money? Could I start another business? My business partner, Brad, he started a transaction coordination business. So he looked at, hey, I know that I have this need in my business. I have to hire this out, and I'm paying somebody to do it, and this is how much I have to pay for it. Why don't I just start a business and market to 300 other students in my Keller Williams office? And he started a national business for transaction coordination. So limit barrier to entry and something like that. I mean, there's some laws and stuff that have been put in place more recently, but that's one potential business option. So we talked about how many of you guys own like rentals, short-term, long-term? Yep. So what would you say on average you make off of a rental? Monthly. Yeah. So worth your time to do something like that or no? Yeah. You get tax benefits as a real estate agent. You can accelerate the depreciation through cost segregation, helps you keep more of your income. Anyone else have any?
Yeah, it ranges from, probably my best one brings in around like $1,500 a month cash flow. Then all the way down to maybe just a couple $100 or breaking even on some of my other ones. So, but again, like tax benefits, appreciation, it all comes out to be worth it.
Yep.
And then Airbnb, yeah, now that I've been taught some automation things,
Yep.
AI messaging and stuff like that, it's now worth it. But I do have a high interest rate on that one, so eats it in the cash flow.
Yep. So rentals, that's pretty common if you're in the real estate industry to own a rental property. what are some other ancillary businesses that you guys have? Shoni, I know, you know, some of the ownership group has invested in title companies, mortgage companies. What have you been involved in any of that?
Not only investing in real estate as a long-term buy and hold, but also looking at other avenues of owning.
Yep. So, anyone else?
Yeah, I have some land that we just, in order to get greenbelt taxes on, we just let, you know, farmers use it for sheep.
Yeah.
And also I encourage my clients to buy land to just rent it out to people with like RVs or whatever, you know, tractors that they can, you know, get at least enough to pay taxes plus, you know, a couple $100 a month, might as well, like, all the land appreciates.
Yep, land banking. So I don't know how long you guys have been at Keller Williams, but back when I started at KW about 12 years ago, I started going to family reunion. I would say it was bigger back then than it is now, but everyone was just doing anything they could to put you in their referral network, right? And that was an interesting concept to me of like, why would I want to take your card and be like, oh, I'll call you. But then when you start realizing how much money you can make from referrals, it makes pretty good sense. If you're saying I'm making $500 a month, you're making $6,000 a year. Could you make $6,000 a year off of a referral network? I would venture to say yes. I think my brother makes more than that. He served a mission in Texas, and so he knows a lot of people in Texas that are moving around, or they have a kid moving from Texas to Utah or vice versa. And so he's been able to refer a lot of people to Texas and get referral checks on that, or Arizona or Utah. So a lot of people are moving to Utah. It's good to make those connections. So referral networks for out-of-state clients.
Even in-state
Yeah,
clients, like somebody in central Utah, because I just didn't have the time to be traveling back toward the central Utah.
for sure.
I might as well, you know, if it's 25%, I might as well do nothing and get that, you know.
100%. Yeah, my brother, sorry, just one sec. My brother referred one to Taylor Frampton, who used to be in this office. Now he's down in St. George, and he's like, I've got somebody moving to St. George. I'm going to refer him to St. George. And so Taylor's got that person under contract on a house, and he'll get a referral check off of it.
They took over her business. Now how the referrals, so she's getting referrals from retiring.
Yeah.
And I got a first client.
How much does she charge, Susan?
25% the first year, and then next year it goes down to 15. And any repeat buyers.
So something that you guys may not think about is, it doesn't even have to be out of area. You might just not be a good fit for what that person is buying or selling. So I can tell you, I've referred stuff for leasing to various agents, or before I was very familiar with land, I'd referred stuff out to people. It's like, hey, either I don't have time or knowledge to handle this transaction, you do. I'm going to refer this out and make money. Jeremy in our office does commercial, and I referred him one of my neighbors who he bought the land in Spanish Fork to build the new bull on. So I got a referral check on that, and then Jeremy ended up with lease. You know, he's leasing all of that space, and so again, it's just connecting your real estate network to figure out what are other sources of money that you can make. When I first got into the real estate business, it probably wasn't legit. I didn't know at the time, but my neighbor's like, hey, I'm moving out of state. Will you manage a couple of properties for me? And I was like, sure. You're going to pay me, you know, this percentage. I'll manage it and handle your turns and stuff. There's more to it than that as far as license legalities than I understood at the time, but another way that you can make money is through property management. Some agents, like I know there's an agent in my office specifically, he was approached by someone that he does coaching to help with coaching. So if you've been in the business, you have knowledge, you can leverage that knowledge into real estate coaching. I know I pay a real estate coach to coach me 2 times a month, and she's making money off of her real estate knowledge. And then partnerships. So I don't know if you guys have ever been approached by any of your clients, be like, hey, I'm looking for an investment property. And you're like, you know what, I actually wanted to get into investing. Let me partner with you on something. I'll go find the property. We'll do it together. So there's ways to, again, leverage that real estate network. There's affiliate partners. So title, when one of the larger warranty companies was looking at expanding a couple of years back, my business partner Brad and I were seriously considering investing into that expansion and becoming partners with him on that expansion. Because I'm already sending business to this warranty company, I'm like, I might as well benefit from it. So you could find a smaller, warranty company that's just getting started and say, hey, let's grow this together. I'll partner with you on it. I know being in this building that there's benefits to having lenders and title companies in here financially as tenants, right? You could create a YouTube channel that you monetize, that you create content for investments or, so I'm not going to tell you the ins and outs of that, but I know that Shoni, if you're not, eventually you're likely going to be monetizing your knowledge on AI. You're traveling to go and teach people about this. So you're taking your real estate industry knowledge and you're applying it to the AI space. And again, how do you feel like you could monetize that?
Yeah, I mean, the ways I've been doing it is one, through the course. I built the course to help people. The challenge, I think,
With all of this, the unspoken piece of it is, how do we actually solve problems for people? Like when you get good at, like, there's always a problem. All the passive income sources you've mentioned solve some sort of, they provide a solution,
Yep.
right, somewhere. And but with the knowledge-based stuff, first focus on becoming an expert in something, right? Even on the real estate side, right? I know, like Susie, for example, she focuses heavily on relo, and she also is like the church wizard selling churches, right? But for us, I focus on the course building and then just essentially speaking engagements and charge for that knowledge.
Yep. So again, just another way that you can monetize your sales business. You are respected in the real estate industry and space, and now you're taking this niche. And I think you hit on a point. Solving a problem for somebody, people are willing to pay. So market shift. Does anybody know what a short sale is? Yeah. So that's a pre-foreclosure. Everyone was losing their house in the last market. 2008 and several years beyond. Yeah. And so a short sale is essentially you negotiating with the bank for them to take less than what is owed. So it's going to be better than foreclosure typically than the alternative. And so a short sale would be somebody negotiating. Well, agents are like, I don't know how to do this. So then somebody comes in and figures it out, and they solve the problem for the agent and the seller and the bank. I'm going to be the short sale negotiator. So again, last market shift, my business partner was like this is a need that I have. I need to solve the need for myself. Obviously, it's painful. I'm going to start a business to solve the need for others. So he had hired an employee to negotiate short sales. They had a short sale negotiation company. So they saw a need, they saw pain, and they made money off of that. It's, a few years until the market shifts, and then you got to find something else. But it was a way to monetize that market and sales business. Another way would be building a team. Have any of you guys ever thought about having a real estate team? Well, that's how I got started in real estate. I was brand new, did not grow up here, and I was solo for 2 years. I was selling like, 5, 6 houses a year part-time while I was like trying to figure out things in school. And I met my business partner, Brad, and he's like, "Hey, I've got leads. I just don't want to go show house on Saturdays and in the evenings." And his kids were at an age where it's like, I need a flexible schedule. And I didn't have kids and I was broke. I'm like, this sounds great. You have leads. I don't know anyone here. I don't have an SOI. So let me take your leads and we'll split it. So he monetized and his business knowledge. And it's like 50-50 sounds great. I'd take 50% of something, then 100% of nothing. So I joined a team. And then that opportunity turned into a partnership and here we are today. You guys can monetize your knowledge of the real estate industry potentially in eventually hiring other agents to work with you, whether that's a buyer's agent or a listing specialist or a full-blown team. So just another way to essentially make passive income, because Brad could go on vacation and I'm still out there selling homes. I'm still out there hustling because I'm his boots. I don't know if that's, oh, there we go. All right, so what I want to do as an activity is, it's probably not enough people here to like break into groups. I'd just say, one group, write down your current income streams. You don't have to write how much, but just let's start taking notes of what your current income streams are, whether that's I've got money in crypto or I've got, you guys can, work together. Write down where your money's coming from: real estate sales, investments in stocks, REITs, whatever it might be. Hey, that's all right. My son's 15 years old and he is really artistic, and he was like creating all these designs, and he's like, "Dad, I want to start a clothing apparel company. I want to make hats. I want to make shirts." And so he has made one, and he's sold beanies. He taught himself how to sew. I'm like, this is so stupid. And then I started getting Venmos. I was like, what is this? He's like, I sold these beanies to people at Woodward. I was out, at the bike jump place, and I started getting Venmos. I'm like, well, be careful, because they also sell their own merch. So, like, I don't want him kicking you out. But yeah, he's a go-getter, and he's like, are you a doubter, Dad? Like, I can do this.
I got like tons of excess beanies and hats.
That's awesome. Yep. Awesome. So that's something I want to instill in my kids, is helping them see like, hey, you can monetize all sorts of different things. All right, give you another minute to write that down, then let's move on to the next brainstorming session. All right, so I gave you guys a printout of like 50 potential ideas for income streams for real estate agents. So I want you guys to kind of look through this and pick 3 new income streams. It doesn't have to be on this list, but just, you guys know your business. Brainstorm 3 ideas that could become new income streams to you guys. Everybody picked 3? All right. Let's take a few minutes and just talk about what those are. Maybe it will help others brainstorm and come up with I don't know your name. Shaylee? All right, Shaylee, would you mind sharing the 3 that you came up with? Nothing's dumb, like.
Yeah, I want big habit, but I did short-term rentals, house hacking, and vacation rental management.
Okay. And what's your name?
David,
David? Nice to meet you. What did you put down?
buy old rental properties and then staging and design services. And then I had a question on kind of what referrals to a mortgage lender would look like.
That one's on there. I don't know the legalities. I would say more you would be in ownership in a mortgage industry and you'd have a disclosure in your contract that says, hey, you understand that I'm profiting from this. That's how I would envision. What would you?
A start is just having them pay for like marketing, client events, like all that kind of stuff, where you don't do it with the client. And then that next level is once you crush it, right, you can then buy ownership into some sort of legal structure.
Yep. I think that's a great point. So yesterday I was sending my invoices and, for the last couple months, I haven't sent them to, so UCCU, they help co-brand marketing. So the magazine that I send out or client events or HomeBot, whatever, I have an agreement with UCCU that if we co-market, they'll cover half of that cost. And so that's a way for you to monetize your business. I'm not making money on it, but I'm getting reimbursed for expenses that I would otherwise have in my business. What's your name?
Spencer,
Spencer? All right. What did you come up with?
let's see, client gifts to agents.
Cool.
Business.
Yep. Again, you know your business. Like how can I monetize this?
Real estate investment trust. Dropped up there.
Cool. Yeah.
And hopefully that turns into.
Yeah, tapping into, yep. Hey, look look at the beautiful videos I can take. I can do these for your real estate, clients as well. Shoni, do you have any?
Yeah, one was doing an actual investment fund, so allowing people to participate in deals that we're already doing.
Yep.
And then another one was selling knowledge essentially to market centers. So we're one of the best performing Keller Williams offices in the country, and so actually sharing how we're doing things to other K2B franchises.
Yep. So coaching essentially. All right. What do you got?
So you have mobile home parks on here, but I would actually say like camper trailer, like campground.
Yeah.
parks.
So like an RV park.
Yeah, RV parks.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I actually bought like a camper trailer for my dad and put him up in a like trailer park or like a campground
Yeah.
site and moved him around a couple of times. And as I did that, I came to understand the demand for RV parks right now is absolutely insane. And so I've for a while now really wanted to start one. And
Yeah.
I have one friend that does that, and so I've been talking with him a little bit about how he does it and whatnot. So,
Super cool.
yeah.
Anything else?
Yeah. I'd love to get into commercial real estate investing. My stepdad, several years ago bought like this kind of warehouse. He got a really good deal. The bank was going to foreclose on it the next day, and his friend came to him and he was able to give him a little bit of equity over the top and buy it. And so he's been killing it and has gained over $1 million of equity, like in that just from the opportunity, and has had it rented out to like an auto body shop type thing. So I think getting into commercial real estate and understanding a little bit more. I graduated from BYU in finance, but I took all the real estate classes and learned how to do all the discounted cash flows to like price like commercial real estate and stuff like that. So I like to get more into that and understand more of the commercial side, make those connections.
Cool.
One other, you talking about like being involved in like a title company. I know a couple of people that have invested into title companies. I've never heard somebody say something bad about it.
Yeah,
So
it's my most passive and easiest investment. I got my money back year one. So it's,
love to find a way to
if
get
you get an opportunity into the right title company, I think that there's good money in
What-
leveraging that.
What would you say would constitute like the right title company or like?
The right ownership with the right vision and someone that's going to stay compliant, because there's a lot that are not compliant. So I don't want to invest money into something that's going to get shut down.
That makes sense.
So what do you got back here? Okay. Susie?
Jump back into the leased out for the rented out. thing.
Cool.
And that was some of those, and then of course a church building to rent out because it just fits. And then I also wanted to get into, find out more about like will and mineral rights.
Cool.
I spit it on RV.
Yeah, of course.
That's something that's next to the RV campground, so. Storage facilities in general.
Yeah.
But, land flipping and.
All right. Like, you could buy a piece of land speculatively, that there's lots of different ways you could make money. So you could buy something that, let's say it's zoned rural residential, and everything around it is zoned for a higher density. You could plat that differently and sell it at a higher density, so you're making money based on the rezone. Or you could just buy totally speculatively, like, hey, the growth is going to come here. And so I'm going to buy this and hold it. And eventually the property is going to go up in value. I'm going to do a land lease in the meantime. I had a builder that I worked with that it just wasn't his financial capability to really keep lot inventory in front of him. So I had bought, a nice lot that I held on to for about 6 months. And then when he needed another lot, I'm like, hey, I got one for you. And, there's ways to make money on just like buying and holding a piece of property that you can sell.
The first one up where I saw those 5 acres, it's $1 million. If you divide that into 1 acre properties, you sell each for 400,000. If you just made like a couple $1 million just by the subdivision,
Yep.
which takes a year sometimes.
Yep. And with the right connections, it's lucrative, and you can, again, leverage your real estate business. So Brad and I did 2 subdivisions that we sold to, one to Arrive Homes and the other one we sold to a excavation company that he knew, that eventually Arrive Homes bought after it was developed. But we didn't ever put them to market. We used our network to say, hey, who do we know that would buy these lots? Started making phone calls. All right, hey, do you guys want to buy this subdivision that we're subdividing and platting, and just leverage that sales network into another source of income. So now I want you to take it one step further and look at that and say, what's my barrier to entry, right? So you're like, this is something I would like to do eventually. Why couldn't you do it in the next 90 days? Generally speaking, it's a cash issue. If you're like, hey, I would like to own a rental, but I think you're looking at your barrier to entry saying, I don't have the money to buy this vacation property. But why couldn't you go and partner with someone? So rather than saying I can't do this, or it's too hard, I'm years away, if you have the passion to do it and you have an idea, what I've always found is money will follow a good deal. So I'm going to go and find the right piece of land or property. And if I don't want to put my personal money into it, or if I don't have the capital at the time, I can always find partners in joint venture, because the deals are harder to find than if you can find the right deal, and you can prove like, hey, this is going to be profitable. I've done the due diligence. Here's my business plan. There's people out there that don't have the knowledge. So you have the knowledge, you just don't have the cash. You need a person with the cash that doesn't have the knowledge. Yeah, you could, yeah, there's, you can get creative, you can get seller financing. So I would, if it's something you want to do, partnerships are wonderful. For me to get into development, I'd have millions of dollars. I did not have the capital to get into development. So I partnered until we had our own capital. And so, you know, it's hard giving up 50% of your profit at times to a partner when you're doing the work. But if it's, again, I'd rather take, you know, 50% of something than not be able to do it. So initially, maybe it's a partnership scenario to get into a vacation rental. And then you're like, now I have enough capital to do it. So I would say set a goal for one of these and figure out how you can do it in the next 90 days. So the homework from this is create a business plan, identify what, you know, your barriers are, and then look for a way to resolve that barrier, whether that's partnerships or one thing that I've been doing a lot recently is I leverage assets. So if I'm like, hey, I don't have the capital to go and do this development, but I have assets paid off, I have a good enough relationship with the bank that I can go to them and say, hey, would you do a cross collateralization loan, collateralize these assets that are paid off in lieu of a down payment for me to go and do this development? And so we've been able to go and do additional developments just by simply thinking outside the box, utilizing assets to go and do additional projects. So I would not going to advise on this as far as what to do, what makes you comfortable, what's risky, but there are other ways to start businesses, whether that's tapping into a HELOC or something, you know, that if you feel like this is a very, very good venture, it'll be hard for me to get creative on the financing options through tapping into other resources. So that's it in a nutshell. I can tell you, I am not the smartest person in the room. And I have gotten to a point financially where all of my finances are covered from passive income. So I got to a point where I'm like, I am never going to live a scarcity mindset again. When I went through the last market shift, it was just horrible. You know, having kids and looking at how I'm going to pay my bills, and it forces you to get creative. And so being in a commission-based business is scary at times. Deals fall apart. The stat is most millionaires have 7 sources or more of income. So that's what I would start is if you're at one source of income, I would start with 2, you know, find another. And what I found is the more sources of income that you have, it's easier to build upon it. I don't know the exact quote, but basically somebody had said, you know, it's harder to make the first 10 million than it is to make the 100 million. Because once you have the 10 million, it's much faster to go from 10 million to 100 million. It's the same concept with starting businesses. Once you have an excess of cash and you start getting passive income, you're able to invest in yourself more, take a little bit more risk, take on clients that you may not have been able to take. So for example, in my business, I had an opportunity to shift out of traditional real estate sales into selling primarily for a builder. And what that meant was I wasn't going to get a paycheck for 6 months. That's just how new construction goes, especially when you start, you're going to build up a pipeline. Luckily, I had enough money set aside to be able to make that decision. And it was a huge blessing. My income drastically went up. And that's the same thing that's going to happen once you start not being so reliant on commission checks, is you can afford to maybe rebrand. Maybe you're like, all I'm selling is trailer parks, and I want to get out of the trailer park, sales. I want to focus on high end. I need to rebrand. That takes time. You're not going to generate cash overnight. And so by having some passive income and other income streams, you're able to really grow at a pace that you're not able to. So I would say the majority of my net worth and income came in the last 5 years. So I worked for 18 years in the real estate industry, and the majority of it came in a 5-year period of time. So be patient. Just it's going to be very much market driven, and take the opportunities that you have. So anyway, if you guys have any questions, happy to answer any, or if you guys,
Thank you.
yeah, you bet. Thank you. Thanks for letting me share. Yeah, you bet.
Let's get just one or two ahas, takeaways. There's also like this idea of like, if you just crush it in one thing first, it actually naturally opens door to these other avenues, right? And so like the highest and best encouragement is like define one skill set that you can develop, which I think, for all of us in this room, it should be, how do you crush it in selling real estate? How do you get really good at servicing clients to, one, generate enough active income that allows you to fund investing in these passive income strategies, right? So just how well you do. I know, how long was the timeline where you feel like your real estate business started just because of how well you did with, you and Brad up front, started to generate opportunities where people said, hey, we'd love for your ownership in this title company? Probably was not year one in your business.
Business, and I would say that's a very valid point, that I couldn't get into these other business opportunities until I got to a point where my sales business was generating excess for me to start investing. It was harder at the time. It was the market. But something that really helped me was to take on a business partner. Anything that you can look at and say, oh, 1 + 1 is 3. That's the way it was for me and my business partner. We leveraged each other's time and knowledge, and it exponentially exploded the amount we're able to do together. It's very hard running a business. There's days where you want to quit, and having a partner that you're like, I don't want to not show up for them, makes all the difference.
But then you have an excuse to show up.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't want to go to work today. I got it, because he's gonna be there, and I don't want.
Awesome. Thanks for all coming. We'll see you guys at the next session. Have a great week.